of the benefit updates that we have for the year 2023. There really isn't much in terms of your existing plan types changes for the next year. If you do happen to have any question, like she has said, we can discuss it at the end of the presentation, or we can divulge into it during the presentation. During the presentation, you're more than welcome to use the chat functionality or raise a hand, as she will be monitoring the floor. So let's just quickly look at our core purpose as a medical scheme, which is to make people healthier, enhance and protect their lives. So how do we do that? That's the one question that we usually get, right? So we make people healthier by making them aware of their health risk factors and helping them to manage and improve their health. In this presentation, I will be taking you in depth with regards to a contribution strategy that resulted to affordability and lower price increase as well. And then I'll also be taking you through the benefit updates, which is the new plan type that has been recently introduced, which is the Essential Dynamic Smart, and how we as a medical scheme have also embedded the Wealth Fund for additional cover to you, as well as the Discovery Health updates as well. So let's just also quickly look at our performance as a medical scheme at a glance, right? So Discovery is currently in a high strong reserve position. So what that means is that we currently hold 28.8 billion rands of excess reserves, right? So what that means is that this gives you peace of mind as a member, knowing that you are with the medical aid, excuse me, you are with the medical aid that's able to cater for your medical necessity for now up until the next 5 years. And we are still number one in the market as opposed to our competitors, right? Discovery does not have any close competitors. So we're referring to them as competitors because we use them to find out what the industry updates are and the needs of our members, as we hold 57.6% of the market share. And we've seen a strong growth outlook where we've onboarded in 2021 to 2022 August, plus 46,000 new beneficiaries. And a part of this growth was dominant through the top 5 growing plans that were attracting the young and the healthy. And these top 5 growing plans actually helped us as a medical scheme to be in a position where we do what we call cross subsidization, helping the elderly and the needy with the funds that we could have accumulated for the young and the healthy, as they're not claiming as much as we would, or an average Discovery member would claim, right? So let's also just quickly look at how these top 5 growing plans are actually growing, right? The top 5 growing plans on this slide are the blue dots and our competitors are the black dots. So it shows that the top 5 growing plans are actually growing at a net healthcare result, a positive net healthcare result, as opposed to our competitors in the black dots. It shows that their top 9 plans are actually growing, but these top 9 plans are actually growing at a loss generating net healthcare result. So what this means is that our competitors are now in a critical position to sit down and go back to the drawing board to realign their contributions in line with medical inflation. And that will result to nothing but cause discomfort to you as a member and also result in member price shocks as well. So let's also just quickly look at our membership base, right? How we are heading into 2023, right? So we've seen that there is actually a stability in the plan choices that we offer and the services that we render to you as our member, as we've also experienced a stability in the lapse rate of only 5.2%. So what that means is that the type of plan options that we give to you as our member are quite affordable, are quite easy to use, and they also user friendly as well, as there isn't really a significant change in terms of changes and upgrades as well as downgrades as well. And when you also look further onto the right-hand side of the slide, it shows you how our strong reserve position has actually resulted in us being in a position where we have 36% of the solvency rate. And as per the South African Medical Association, a medical scheme needs to have at least 25%. So we've got way more than the anticipated mark of 25%, right? And we are also AAA credit rating. And I'll also be just taking you in depth with regards to how we are planning as a medical scheme to give back to you as our member for the next year and moving forward with these excess reserves that we've managed to accumulate. So as any other organization, we need to have some sort of a structure in how we implement these certain changes and how we also plan to roll out these certain changes as well. So we've utilized the 3 pillar structures that are significant and also helped us in managing and rolling out these new updates, right? So the first structure that we utilized is how we capitalize on the strong Discovery Health medical scheme operating performance to balance affordability, sustainability, and benefits for 2023, right? right? Let's also just quickly look at how, our actuaries have actually been accurate in terms of their pricing. I'll be taking you in depth with regards to our contributions, and I just need you to understand where we are coming from as a medical scheme, right? So let's quickly just look at the bottom left of this presentation. There is a graph here which shows that in January 2019, our contributions, which are in yellow, were in line with our claims, which are in black. And then fast forward to January 2020, right? It shows that there was just a slight change between our claims and contributions, right? And then in March 2020, this is where we experienced the first wave of COVID-19, right? And we've noticed that we actually not noticed, but we have experienced what we call a discontinuity in claims, right? So a lot of people were not claiming as we would have anticipated. And this is quite understandable because everyone was under lockdown. People were skeptical to visit medical facilities. So this is the point where, as a medical scheme, we were actually in a position to gain those excess reserves through the discontinuity in claims. But even through that predicament that we were encountering as a whole nation, we did not increase our contributions in any way, right? So we've just recently implemented a new increase in October 2022, where we've increased by medical inflation of 0.3% gap between claims and contributions. So when you look further onto the right-hand side of this presentation, this is just a graph that also highlights, the actual claims and the expected claims that we have had expected from our side. And it shows that during the October month, claims are essentially going back to normal. So what that means is that we as a medical scheme are actually going back to increasing our contributions from the 1st of January moving forward. But this is not going to occur for the next year, and I will also be explaining to you what's going to happen in terms of next year. But from 2024 moving forward, we're going back to a traditional way of actually increasing our contributions from the 1st of January 2024. Let's also just quickly look at, how this deferral strategy has resulted in affordability. So we've utilized the 6.8 billion rands, right, from those excess reserves, or an average of 5,000 per average policy. This is the contributions that were saved for Discovery Health members in 2021 and 2022. And then it also shows you that Discovery has actually had, an accurate pricing where we've increased our contribution to CPI plus 0.2%, as opposed to the 6 largest open medical schemes, where they've, implemented an increase with CPI plus 0.7%, right? And when you look further onto the right-hand side, excuse me, when you look further onto the right-hand side, it also shows you how we've been accurate in terms of our pricing, and how our competitors are also at a critical position to realign medical claims and contributions, and that will result to nothing but cause member price shocks, as I have illustrated initially. So because there is high volatility within the economy, right? Economists themselves can't determine what CPI will be, right? So this actually leaves us in a critical position to now implement a new increase when we don't know what the CPI will be, right? So what we are saying as a medical scheme is that since we had recently implemented an increase on the 1st of October 2022, we are not going to increase our contributions on the 1st of January 2023. So what we are going to do is we are going to defer the increment, right, to the 1st of April 2023, and our contributions will increase by whatever CPI will be at that time, plus 3 to 4%. I hope this makes and provides some sort of comfort. Do you guys have any questions pertaining contributions before I could move further along to the updates? T, are we still fine on the floor?
Yeah, no questions.
Tabiso, we have a question here. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Tabiso. Thank you for the presentation thus far. This is Osric. I just want to get to your note that you've mentioned regarding the accuracy. Can you just give me a little bit insight regarding that in terms of how do you determine, or what's the scale that you use to measure your level of accuracy? Is it based on inflation, or how did you determine that you're accurate in terms of your increases, etc.?
That's
Thank
a very
you.
good question. That's a very good question. Thank you so much for that question. So there's certain determining factors that result in us being in a position where we determine whether we've been accurate or not. One being inflation, and also the current state of living that we're currently in. So those are some of the elements that we take into consideration that also help us to conclude whether we've been accurate or not. So to answer your question, yes, inflation is one of the tools that we use to measure our accuracy. I hope that provides comfort to you. Great. So moving right along, let's just also quickly look at how we are planning to roll out these, what we are planning to roll out in terms of the next year, and also in April, since we're saying that we're only going to increase in April. So what does that mean? So it means that you will be offered new plan options for 2023, but paying the 2022 premiums, right? So from the 1st of January 2023, there is going to be benefit enhancements that are effective. And then for your benefit limits and co-payments and deductibles, those will increase by 6%. And then the annual thresholds also increase by 9.9%. And then from 1 April 2023, we are going to allow for upgrades. There is going to be additional medical savings account allocation before 1 April 2023. And then for members that have already reached the above threshold benefit before 1 April, will stay in the above threshold benefit. And then the key care income bands increase in line with salary inflation. And there won't be any key care income verification. This will only occur over 2023 year end. Let's also just quickly focus on all key categories in terms of the enhancements for the next year. So the oncology threshold has increased by 25%. So what that means is that if your threshold for this year was 100,000, then for the next year it's going to be 150,000. There's a new disease prevention program that we recently implemented or are introducing to you onto this call that I'll take you through in depth, as well as the new plan type as well. So when you look onto the slide, right, it clearly speaks or rings a tone in your head to say early intervention is always better than, late intervention, right? So this is one of the statistics that we've managed to compile, right, through, demographics, through health checks, and all the various tools that we have utilized. And these are quite some alarming statistics, right? To give you a practical example in essence, right, this is an example of an individual who's got a cardiometabolic syndrome, but is currently managing this cardiometabolic syndrome, as opposed to an individual who has not identified this cardiometabolic syndrome and who's currently unmanaging this cardiometabolic syndrome. So there's a slight difference. There's actually a huge difference in terms of their life and health span. When you look further onto the bottom left-hand side of this presentation, it gives you a practical example of a 40-year-old who is with a cardiometabolic syndrome that's got a low blood glucose, less BMI, and less weight circumference, and they're living with a cardiometabolic syndrome in terms of their probability of actually developing diabetes in the next 2 years. So seeing this alarming statistic, we as an organization then sat down and thought of ways of how we can implement certain programs to help you as our member become as healthy as you would have anticipated, and also for us to also be able to realign with our core purpose of keeping people healthier, because it wouldn't make any sense for us to say we want to make you healthy, but we're not initiating anything to help you get to your destination. Because remember, it takes a village to raise a child. So with that being said, we then developed what we call the AI model, which is the artificial intelligence model, where we've utilized the risk identification model, where we've identified 25,000 individuals who are proactively at risk of developing cardiometabolic syndrome. And then we created what we call a basket of care, right? Like, for instance, your chronics or your HIV program, they also have a basket of care. So we created our own basket of care for this program that we are introducing to you, the disease prevention program, where it consists of clinical assessments and monitoring, lifestyle management, and also clinical management. So if you do happen to be on any of our ongoing management program, this will not infiltrate or conflict with any ongoing management treatment that you're currently in, or any medication that you might be consuming at this point in time. Our doctors are, our doctors are actually in line and have been informed. If there is any medication that you are taking, we'll make sure that it's aligned with the treatment that you are currently on, and it does not, change anything in that way. So this risk identification model, right? What we utilized to determine these 25,000 individuals was the health checks, the family history, claims pattern, as well as the demographics. So an example of one of the 25,000 individuals that have been identified would be a 59-year-old female who's got a family history of diabetes, who's got low physical activity with a BMI of 27, as well as a weight circumference of 94 centimeter. So what's going to happen is, if you are established or listed as one of the 25,000 individuals, there is going to be a health coach from Discovery that will contact you directly. And then you would need to obviously provide us with consent to enroll you onto this program. Once we've received consent, what we are going to do is we are going to compile a summarized report, and then we are going to inform your Premier Plus GP of your eligibility on the Health ID, which is a digital tool that we utilize for doctors as well as Discovery as a whole. And then once that has been done, you would need to also visit your Premier Plus GP so that he can also confirm enrollment and also eligibility for you to actually form part of this program as well, right? So I just want to also quickly put on a bit of a disclaimer. If you are, or if you happen to be established or listed as one of the 25,000 individuals, and you feel that you do not want to form part of this program, right? It is well within your right to decline the offer upon the first request, where a health coach will get in contact with you. It is not compulsory. Remember, it's one of the initiatives that we are implementing to help you get healthier, and also, to realign with our core purpose, seeing the alarming statistics that we've seen as per this previous slide that I have just shown you. So how this program rollout will be is, it's going to be a 12-month program. The program is available across on all Discovery Health members. But remember, this one specifically is only for those 25,000 individuals that have been identified, right? There's 2 GP consults, 2 nutritional assessments, and 12 coaching sessions, as well as prescribed medication that I was referring to, right? And then there's also a 6-month Premier Plus GP assessment, as well as coaching sessions as well. So the cover is also subject to the scheme's clinical entry criteria. So this one is specifically for those 25,000 individuals that have been identified as mentioned previously. And I just want to also reiterate the fact that if you do happen to be on any of our ongoing management program, right, it will not infiltrate, it will not conflict with your ongoing management treatment in any way. The medication will not divulge you from the initial treatment that you are taking. We'll make sure that it's also in line and aligned with the treatment that you're currently on. And when we look at, some of the updates that we have effective from the 1st of January 2023, like I've said initially, that we really don't have much in terms of the updates for 2023. So one of, 3 of the most updates that we've implemented would be the international second opinion, where it has increased to 75% on all plans, excluding the executive plan. So that provides an additional 312.50 USD cover per consult. And then for your chronic illness benefit, right? So from 2023, family and chronic drug amount changes will be applicable. However, the benefit limits, thresholds, co-payments, and deductibles, those will be increased in line with medical inflation, whereas some benefit limits remain unchanged, like I've initially stated. And let's also just quickly look at our second pillar, right, which is a combination of Discovery Health's unique network, clinical and digital assets to deliver the lowest price point per unit of cover in the industry. When we look at our evolution as a medical scheme, it actually makes us, become so proud of the evolution, how we've evolved and how we've, adjusted to the 4th industrial revolution, right? In 2002, we introduced the first network, which was the Key Care Network for lower cost of hospital access. In 2022, we then introduced the regional networks, right? We've got over 1 million lives on our network option, where over 170,000 belongs to Smart, over 450,000 belongs to Delta, and over 400,000 belongs to the Key Care. And you're probably wondering, why is it that I'm showing you the evolution of our networks, right? It's because we are introducing a new network plan option, right? And how we came about to the introduction of this plan option was the statistic that you are seeing onto the slide, where it shows an average age of 32.2%. So these are the young and the healthy individuals that I was referring to on my first few slides that, helped us in becoming in a strong reserve position. And it also shows you how these individuals individuals were actually utilizing our digital tools than an average Discovery Health member. With that being said, we then introduce to you what we call the Dynamic Smart Hospital Network that is personalized to the needs of the member. So it helps or it guides you, members to a dynamic smart hospital for the highest quality of care, where we utilize your geolocation, diagnosis and health record, as well as provider data. This is the most efficient smart hospital with the highest quality of care. So seeing that we are introducing the dynamic smart plan, right? We then introduce what we call the first digital essential dynamic smart plan. So the dynamic smart plan is underpinned by the dynamic smart hospital network. It's got hospital cover for unlimited emergency and unlimited in-hospital cover for planned admission. It is also underpinned by the dynamic smart hospital network. So what that means is that if you are on this plan option, then you would need to utilize hospitals that are
Am I the only one who's lost Tabiso's connection?
Yes, we've also lost him.
Can you guys hear me?
Tabiso, okay, we can hear you now. Sorry, we lost you there.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, so let's also just quickly look at, we also offer you day-to-day benefits where there's unlimited GP consultations, there's dental checkups, there's eye test, chronic medication, and over-the-counter medication. There's also the major medical benefit where we also offer maternity, oncology, and renal state. So this essential dynamic smart plan, it will only cost you 1,450 per month. It is available from the 1st of January 2023. So this will be the first lowest option that we have on Discovery, followed by the key care option, of course. So how you would need to, what's the process in order for you to actually be able to access this dynamic smart, right? It will be through consultation with a GP, face-to-face or virtually, and then also consultation with a specialist, right? Consulting with a specialist that is associated with the dynamic smart hospital, and also a casualty visit where you can visit any casualty, visiting a casualty facility at any smart hospital, right? And then for emergencies, as you may all know, this rule is applicable in all our Discovery plans. Members will be covered in full in any private hospital. So the Essential Dynamic Smart members can use any hospital in the Smart network with no deductible until the second quarter of 2023, when the full functionality of the virtual assistant goes live. So seeing that we are waiting for the virtual assistant to go live, if you decide to join this plan option or become part of this plan option from 1 January, then you can utilize any hospital that's within the Smart network. And then until the second quarter where we would have concluded the virtual assistant tool that is going to help you and direct you to a hospital that falls within the Essential Dynamic Smart network, right? So this is in essence a day in the life of an individual who is on their Essential Dynamic Smart option, right? It needs you to be digitally savvy because most of your consultations will either be through a virtual assistant, and it also gives you the
Tabiso, we've lost you again. Sorry, everyone, I'm not sure if he has load shedding or what's going on.
That's okay, it happens.
I'm just joking.
I'm going to give him a call to see where he is. All right, sorry about that, everyone. I can't get a hold of him. Do we have any questions in the meantime that we can take?
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Thanks,
Yeah, I think
Tyler.
just obvious question. Sorry, some people go.
Let him go.
You go first, Alex.
I was just going to say, so tell you the 25,000 of those already due to be pre-selected, will be contacted by Discovery, or do they contact on their own?
They'll be contacted by Discovery. They will be identified and contacted by Discovery. So if you come up on their watch list, then they'll make contact with you.
Okay, thanks.
Simpiwe, did you have a question?
Yes, Ozrik has a question.
Hi, Tyler. Thank you again. It's Ozrik.
Yes.
From my end, what really intrigued me is the part of the AI, but what's important for me is your product offering. Apart from the Discovery Medical Aid portfolio that you're offering as well, you also have life insurance, which I just so happen to have a policy of.
Yes.
How would those two be interrelated? Because I mean, some of the information that you get or that you guys consume using the medical aid platform may
Yes.
speak to the
live platform.
yeah, and that can maybe exclude. It can be used to maybe how can I say, reject claims, you know. So this is always my biggest concern with Discovery, because you have access to information that all of a sudden you can use to reject life insurance claims in the event that I unfortunately pass away. You can use that information potentially.
Remember, with life policies, you're underwritten at the point of the contract. So any disease you pick up
afterwards
getting
All right,
is
fantastic.
not part of it. Yeah. So
All right,
that's seen
excellent.
separately. Okay. Did
Right,
that
good.
answer your question?
Thank you. Thank you. I have another question.
Yeah.
Pertaining to the same scenario where you have a number of different products with Discovery, how can we consolidate that? I've tried reaching out to agents, etc., with little success, so that I can try and improve the premium that I'm paying. And I'm paying medical aid for a number of other individuals. So I was hoping that I could try and leverage that to work out a better rate for myself, you know.
You'd only be able to get the better rate when it comes to your life policy by integrating your health and
Yeah.
vitality. So that's one area that they can integrate you by giving you a comprehensive health integrator.
Exactly.
I don't know if so has no one done that for you.
No, and this is actually
Will you then
Yeah,
let's
sorry.
take this offline so we keep the call
Sure.
relevant to medical aid. You can pop me an email and I can try and assist you with that. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'll put my email in the chat. Tabisa, do we have you back?
Yes, apologies for that. Just got hit by load shedding, so I had to
Oh
reconnect.
gosh. Okay, no problem. Well, you can pick up where you left off then. Okay.
Certainly, right. Yeah, like I was saying, right? So this is in essence a day in the life of an individual who is on the essential dynamic smart option. And like I was saying, if a specialist consultation follow-up is required, then a GP shares a link to finding a specialist. Then you would also need to choose your region, right? This is the geolocation that I was referring to initially. And then we'll also recommend providers that are contracted with Discovery, that have a direct payment arrangement with Discovery for better rates and fees as well. And then you also have the ability to actually view the dynamic smart hospital within the geolocation that you currently situated in. Why am I paused? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. All right, cool. Sweet. So there's often a perception that Discovery is actually expensive. So I'm referring to it as a perception because that's just what it is, right? So this, in essence, is a indifference in terms of Discovery as opposed to the industry. And when I'm referring to the industry, I'm referring to all these other open medical schemes, 6 largest or whether small or big, right? So when you look further onto the bottom right of this presentation, there is a small graph there, which shows you a practical example of plan options that are offered under Discovery and the industry that fall within the 1,300 to the 1,700 range in terms of the benefits that we offer. So with our in-hospital cover ratio, we've covered over 97% for Discovery Health Medical Scheme claims that were put through to us. So the 3% falls off on individuals that might be on network options, but they're not utilizing network hospitals. That's where we've imposed co-payments and deductibles, as well as the non-notification penalties as well. And when you look at the industry, they've only covered 93% of their claims, right? And then for in-hospital co-payments, we do not have any co-payments, unless, of course, it's a situation where you're on a network option, but you're not utilizing network facilities for admission, or for consultation or whatever the case may be, whereas the industry has co-payments from 1,500 all the way to 13,000. So for oncology and maternity, we cover PMP and non-PMP. The industry only covers PMP conditions only. So for a plan option that's only 1,400, we give you day-to-day benefits where the industry has no plan option that has day-to-day benefits within this price range. And we've also embedded what we call the wealth fund that I will be taking you through in depth shortly, where we are going to give you an additional 2,500 on your medical aid funds to actually help you consult and actually get better, and also, you know, drive the narrative of actually keeping our clients as happy as they possibly can. So if this does not change your narrative or perspective in terms of the perception that I was referring to, that Discovery is expensive, then I don't know what else will, because this clearly shows how we've actually been, you know, rendering quality services to our clients and ensuring that we cover as many claims that were put through to us as we possibly can. So let's also just quickly look at the third pillar, which is the last pillar of how we invested the significant surpluses that we have accumulated during COVID-19 in the health of the membership base and the scheme to achieve long-term clinical and financial benefits. So these are the surpluses that I was referring to on that graph initially, where I showed you where there was a discontinuity and how we managed to actually accumulate these high reserves. So when you look onto the screen, right, this is also part of the alarming statistics that we have received. So seeing that we are forced under lockdown, a lot of people were not actually participating in their health checks, which is quite understandable, right? Everyone was under lockdown, everyone is skeptical of going out, and everyone was taking into consideration their own health and not wanting to contract this virus that has spread rapidly, right? So we've seen what we call a deficit in screenings, right? Where there was a deficit in health checks, there was a deficit in mammograms, there was also a deficit in prostate screening. So what this deficit did to our members, right, to all of you guys that are under Discovery, is it left Discovery in a critical position to be able to intervene at an early stage for your cancer stages. As you can see in the middle of the screen, there is a graph here that shows that there's actually a skyrocketing number in terms of stage 4 cancer, while stage 1 detection is actually a myth or a thing of the past. And we've seen what we call plus 10% of new diabetes diagnosis with complex conditions. So this is quite an alarming statistic, right? So with that statistic, we decided to introduce what we call the Wealth Fund, which is going to be available from the 1st of January 2023 for 24 months to all existing and new members of Discovery Health. So seeing that there was actually a deficit in health checks, one of the prerequisites for you to get this additional amount of cover, you would need to unlock it with a health check, where if it's an adult on the membership, we are going to give you an additional 2,500. If there's a child who's older than 2 years, we're going to give them an additional 1,250. And then for a family limit, we're just capping it at 10,000. So what that means is we're not going to reserve these additional funds. They work on a first come, first served basis. Hypothetically speaking, say for instance, there's a family of 4 on the membership, and one of the 4 decides to use the full 10,000, we will not reserve those funds. They will work on a first come, first served basis, right? So the Wealth Fund is activated once all members on a policy age 2 and older complete an in-person health check. So this can be completed through your Dis-Chem or Clicks pharmacy, or through the wellness days that we would host by your employer, right? And then all the health checks that are completed from 1 January 2022 onwards count towards unlocking the Wealth Fund. So if you've done any health checks in 2022, you're automatically eligible for this additional cover of the Wealth Fund. It is available, it is a once-off benefit available to all existing and new Discovery members. And then for members turning 18 years of age in the benefit period, will be allocated the adult portion. Once this has been unlocked, any member on the policy can use any portion of the Wealth Fund, even when an allocation is not received. Like I said, once this has just been unlocked, we're not going to reserve it. It works like your medical savings, first come, first served basis. Whoever uses it, uses it. Whoever doesn't, right? And then if this has already been unlocked, new dependents on policy can immediately access the benefit without having to complete a health check. So by completing a health check, they will receive their allocation specifically. So say for instance, from that family of 4, there's only one person that has actually done a health check, right? So we are going to allocate that portion of 2,500 for that adult specifically. But should one of the 3 individuals want to use that 2.5, then they can, right? their allocation will only be activated once we receive their health check results. Once we receive their health check results, then we'll allocate a portion for them, maybe an additional 2,500, depending on their age, whether it's an adult or a child as well. And then for members that would, opt to withdraw from the scheme, automatically this benefit just falls off from them. So I just want to reiterate that this benefit is activated from the 1st of January for 24 months. After 24 months, if you're not going to utilize these funds, then they will automatically fall off. So we're going to take them back to those reserves. So this is one of the, tools that we are utilizing to actually give back to you as an additional cover, right? So there's a broad range of additional discretionary benefits from your physical, general, mental, women's, men's, as well as children's health, right? So the Wealth Fund is not restricted to only screening and prevention ICD-10 codes or claims. There is no network restriction that is applicable. However, for members that are on Smart and Key Care, plans must use an allocated network GP for relevant services in the basket of care. Like I said, right? Remember that 3% portion from that 97% of the claims that we have covered falls off on the people that are on network option. If you are on a network option, make sure that you utilize your allocated primary or secondary GP for these healthcare services as well, all right? And then there's no frequency limit that is applicable apart from only that one GP visit per person. The reason why we're only giving you one GP visit per person is because we don't want you to now utilize the Wealth Fund for your normal day-to-day benefits, but instead we want you to utilize your Wealth Fund to actually help you become as healthy as you possibly can. And there's also certain clinical frequency limits that are applicable as per the current screening and prevention guideline. So you're probably wondering what will fund from the Wealth Fund and what will fund from medical savings account. That's a lot of questions that I've actually been getting or that were raised throughout the whole presentations that I've been doing ever since I've started. So in terms of your screening and prevention, right? So benefits are paid out of risk before the Wealth Fund. As you may all know, for screening and prevention, it is available across on all Discovery plans subject to a sub-limit. So if you want to do your mammogram screenings and so forth, that will come from your screening and prevention. And then I'll also just give you a practical example of some of the benefits that we cover from the Wealth Fund and screening and prevention as well. And the Wealth Fund is used before discretionary medical savings account. And then medical savings account is only used after Wealth Funds is depleted. So a practical example would be, say for instance, you doing a pap smear, right? So the screening test will come from the screening and prevention benefit. And then that consultation, because usually a consultation would then fund from your day-to-day benefit, then that consultation specifically will then fund from the Wealth Fund. And then for your discretionary benefits, like your GP consultation for flu, that will be covered from the Wealth Fund. And all of this does not have impact on your medical savings or your day-to-day benefit, as this is an additional benefit that we are offering to you at the sub-limit or the limits that I have just taken you through of an adult of 2,500 and a child of 1,250, or family of up to 10,000 rands. So let's just quickly recap in terms of the Wealth Fund. So the Wealth Fund, how you need to access it is through unlocking it with a health check. Health checks done in 2022 will give you eligibility for the Wealth Fund for 2023 and 2024 benefit year. It's a 24-month benefit that we offer to you. If it's not used within 24 months, benefit automatically then falls off and goes back to our reserves, right? And then also you are going to have a feature on your normal Discovery app where you will also be able to track your benefits from the Wealth Fund. You will be able to view the available health checks, and we can also recommend the next best action according to age and gender, and it also gives you the ability to book a consultation. If you are a Discovery Bank client, there is going to be an additional icon or ad hoc on your normal Discovery Bank app, where you'll also be able to track and see how much is left of your Wealth Fund basket of care additional amount. So let's just also quickly recap what was discussed in this presentation in terms of our updates. Like I've said, there's really not much, right? But I just want to reiterate to ensure that you guys understand what the future possibly looks for you as a Discovery Health Medical Scheme client. So what we said from the beginning of the presentation, we spoke more about contributions, where I had reiterated and I still am reiterating the fact that we will not increase our contributions in January the 1st, but we are deferring our contributions to the 1st of April 2023. 2023, the oncology thresholds have increased by 25%. If for 2022 it was 100,000, next year it's going to be 150,000. The disease prevention program, the program that I just took you through, where we've established 25,000 individuals that are at risk of proactively developing a cardiometabolic syndrome, as well as the benefit updates where I referred to the deductibles as well as co-payments. And I also took you through the first digital plan option, which is the dynamic essential plan. And I've also taken you through how we've embedded the wealth fund as additional benefit amount to give back to you as our member to become as healthy as we could have possibly anticipated. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your time and patience. I will be opening the floor now for any questions that might that might be related to this presentation itself, or any general questions that you currently have and concerns that you currently have. And I just want to also say that this is your presentation. These are your benefits, right? The more you understand, the better it becomes for me and T to be able to assist you. So you can ask any question. There isn't any question that's a stupid question. And yeah, T, I think it's time for us to take any questions from the floor or concerns.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Tabiso. Does anybody have any questions raised, or maybe questions that are not pertaining to this presentation, but just about the medical aid in general, or upgrades, perhaps something?
So Tanya, maybe on my side, just to kick off. So the wealth fund, is that applicable across all scheme types, or is it any specific schemes, as you mentioned? Or I'm just trying to understand that link.
The wealth fund is applicable to all the different plans offered by Discovery.
Great, thanks.
Simpiwe, anything on your side?
No, nothing from the room here. But what I wanted to say is, I think from our colleagues, we gave them that form for options changes early in the month. I think the challenge was for some of them is, what if they change, they upgrade or downgrade? What are they covered? What will no longer be covered? So my request is that if anyone has that kind of challenge, they can just use your email address. That is there in the chat. They can set up a one-on-one meeting consultation if they have any questions on some of the options, if they want to change options from 1st Jan 2023.
Yeah. 100%. So, it would be very difficult on this call to then go through exactly how your plan would change, if you're on priority to saver, for example. So definitely if you need to have a one-on-one conversation with me, then you can definitely reach out with my email address that's in the chat. And yeah, we are closing on the 15th of December. So we're requesting the plan changes are all submitted by the 30th of November to ensure that we have enough time to make sure the changes have been submitted. And if there's any problems, to sort them out before we close on the 15th.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Just one more question from the room here is how do we cancel Vitality?
You just have to send an email. You can email, I'm going to pop the email address in the chat to the admin box. You can just say you wish to cancel the Vitality and it can be actioned from there. I'll put it in the chat now.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Do you have any other question? Or should we close it off?
Yeah, I think, yeah. I don't see anyone raising their hand, no concerns, no questions around the escalations. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Tabisa, thank you for your presentation. Hoping you have a good holiday that's coming up. And then if we don't chat to you later on this year, we'll chat to you in the new year. Have a good day further.
Right.
Thanks to you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers, bye.
Who wants to cancel?